Finding the right environment as you are becoming a little bit older can be a challenge. And when it comes to senior living, there's a lot of concerns as we start getting a little bit older. What are the options out there? What's the difference between nursing homes, assisted living, independent living? All of the many, many things that are out there can become really overwhelming, whether you are a senior yourself or you are an adult child trying to help your mom, dad, or grandparent, aunt, uncle to navigate these tricky waters. It can be really overwhelming. And today I have a very special guest, Kathy Felix from Abbey Park of Grand Blanc, who's going to help us navigate some of these things and make sure that we can stay on track. So, hey, Kathy, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you are is it the admissions director of Abbey Park? What is your exact title there?
I'm the administrator or building manager.
Okay.
I've been
So,
here 2 years.
oh my goodness, it's like a little lifetime right there, right? You've seen a lot of people, I'm sure, in that time. And so for a lot of people, they may not know, number one, Abbey Park, or understand some of these concepts about senior independent living. Can you tell us a little bit about Abbey Park and what is senior living all about?
Yes, so Abbey Park is considered enhanced independent living, which means basically we want to allow people to remain independent as long as they possibly can by providing some assistance. Some of the assistance that we provide is, for example, housekeeping. Every day we take out the trash, make the bed. Once a week we do a light cleaning. We change out their sheets and towels, and we provide meals in our dining room. As you can see behind me is one of our kitchens in one of our apartments. So if the residents choose to cook for themselves, they can. And we provide a full assistance if needed through a separate company that is on site. So you can use as much or as little care as you need, and as you age, you can increase that. So.
That's wonderful. So it becomes an entry point to like this new journey in life. But along the way, we know other changes may happen, and you have those things in place. So that's great. Now, you said that you're in one of the actual units right now?
Yes, I happen to be sitting in a studio apartment. So this is the smallest one that we have. It's 440 square feet. So it's kind of a hallway, bathroom, kitchen, living room. It's pretty spacious. It's more like a great room, I would say. But when you're in this apartment, it doesn't feel like you're closed in. It's not more of a bedroom. It's more like a living room with a kitchen. Lots of closets and bathrooms. So.
That's wonderful. It looks just like an ordinary apartment, so I can see how people could feel comfortable with that. Now, this may be an oddball question, but let's say that you have a senior couple who is aging in place, or not aging in place, they're looking for a new residence. Can a couple go there, or is it just individuals?
So we have many couples who live here. They may choose a larger apartment, such as a one-bedroom, just a little bit more space. We also have a two-bedroom, and there's variations on the sizes of the one bedroom. There's a variation on the studio, so a couple might choose to have a larger space. Now, with that being said, if something happens to one of the, you know, either the husband or the wife, then the remaining spouse would either stay in that apartment or possibly they might want to downsize and go to a smaller apartment. But it is nice to have those memories here at Abbey Park for married couples to be here together, and to live, some of their years as aging seniors at Abbey Park.
Right. And actually, one thing is when it comes to like the couples living there, that's great. But you probably have a lot of singles also. So, what about the community there? Does it feel like, just stifling like school, where they're hurting you, or are there
So
independent activities? Like how does this part work?
some people describe it kind of like a cruise. So you go on a cruise, you have your room, you have your apartment, or here, apartment, but on a cruise you'd have your stateroom. And then there's activities on the ship that you can
Yeah.
participate in. And there's dining on the ship. So you're able to, kind of leave your apartment, participate in the activities, go on trips. If you want to choose to be in the dining room for the meal plan, you would come down to lunch or dinner, and or you could cook for yourself in your apartment. I suppose you wouldn't do that on a cruise, but it's more
Right.
it's apartment style living with the fun, extra little amenities that you might find on a really neat vacation. So we have exercise class, we have movies that we show, we have entertainment, we go places. So I guess that would be your excursions, and wonderful dining options where you won't have to cook if you don't want.
So, one of the things that I love about that is the flexibility. If you don't want to cook, you don't have to cook. It's there. You don't have to go out to eat. But one key thing that a lot of people don't talk about is you start getting older, there can be some loneliness factors that come in. Friends pass away, loved ones in your family pass away, and it can be very isolating. And I witnessed this even with my mom as she was getting older. Family members didn't have time. They were preoccupied with their own stuff. She was with me. She got sick of me sometimes, but some people don't even have that. So we would do regular trips, like on Saturdays. I would always take her to, Myers or Target or wherever she wanted to go. Um, Now, with your setup, it's kind of cool because you're actually coordinating different activities and you have bus drivers. Tell me a
Yes.
little bit about that.
Well, first of all, when people move in, they may not know very many people who live here. So a lot of our activities are designed to kind of encourage friendships. Even our dining room setup. In the dining room, you would sit with the same four people at the table every day, and it becomes more like a family situation. They kind of gather in the lobby when we have entertainment or when we have parties, things that are going on, and they get to know each other. It's kind of like a little bit like a big cocktail party where the residents get to know each other and they develop very deep friendships. What we do with the trips is we find out what people enjoy doing. So there might be a play in town that we want to go see. Might want to go on a shopping trip to the mall or a consignment shop. We go to Lansing lug nut games. Not I'd love to plug the lug nuts if they're but some sort of like AAA baseball. Go to movies. Go to out to eat. And so what we do is we have a sign up sheet, and they'd sign up to get a ride on the bus. We can seat 15 people on each bus, and we have two. And so everybody leaves as a group. They laugh and talk on the bus. More friendships are developed. They find out they knew each other in kindergarten. We have male and female alike friends, people getting to know each other. There's even been a little bit of dating that goes on, hand holding in the lobby. So it's really nice to see that we do have a very strong sense of community. and you don't feel alone when you're here. And for me to be able to come to work and get to know these residents who become like my family, and to join and, watch them developing those friendships, it's way better than high school. It's great to see.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's continuing life. It's just the next chapter.
Yes,
And it's
exactly.
wonderful. Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. So, as you hear some of these stories, it's heartfelt to hear people through all of these transitions of getting back in there, living life, being comfortable, getting to know new people. And, maybe if you're in your 20s, like I have two sons that are in college right now, sometimes that socializing comes really easy, but it can be an adjustment as you get older. So I think it's dynamic to have an opportunity to bring people together in that way. So, kind of moving in a different direction, I'm hoping that you can kind of clarify this really important question for all of the viewers. When it comes to things such as senior living, independent care, what is the main difference from that compared to like assisted living, or eventually some people need, and this was the case with my husband, they need full-time skilled nursing 24 hours. So can you explain a little bit about what are those differences compared to what you're offering at Abbey Park?
Sure. So there are senior communities where it perhaps are condos in a neighborhood, and there might be a clubhouse, and people can live there independently, and but still there are activities for seniors. Those exist in our community along with other communities. And then there are more senior apartments that have no services. So you just live there. There happen to be other seniors living in that community, but there are no services provided to those seniors. Our type of living, Abbey Park, would be enhanced independence. So we're still providing housekeeping, we're still providing meals, we provide a continental breakfast. So we're still kind of spoiling the residents a little bit and allowing them to just enjoy their life and have their social visits with their other friends and their trips, but then they still have that sense of independence that they're in their own apartment. We don't knock on their door and bother them. If they would just want to be left alone or they want to be more independent, they can, but we're still going to provide housekeeping and breakfast and, for example, life alert pendant in case of emergency. So it's like all the best of independent living. Somebody's cleaning for you, but you get to still play cards and come and go as you please. Many people still have their cars when they live here, so they're able to come and go. They have a key to get into the building, a key to get into their apartment, but they're surrounded by safety. They feel safe and secure being here, where help is just a life alert pendant press away or a phone call away. There's on-site care company in the building at all times. So if somebody, God forbid, falls, if something happens, you press your pendant and there's emergency help right in the building.
That's
Then going from
wonderful.
there,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And I
let's
think a lot of times that becomes scary as you get
yes.
older. If you're living in a house and, nobody else is there, it's kind of nice to see people coming and going, checking in on you, aware of, where you're at.
Yeah,
So,
and the reason why, many of the reasons why people decide to live here is they don't want to be home alone anymore. I had a woman who she was going to get her mail. She lived in her own home. She was going to get her mail. She fell in the snow and couldn't get back up. And
oh,
so she got frostbite. She was laying there in the snow, and fortunately, someone drove by and happened to see her. So when she moved in, she had that experience living in her own home. She didn't want to do that anymore. She was able to move
yeah.
here and have several years, many, many years living here of still being independent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes people fall, they break their hip, they live in a tri-level, they can't go back to their home because they can't navigate steps anymore. So we've
Yeah.
got that option. Then moving on from Abbey Park would be quote unquote assisted living. And in assisted living, it usually entails more of a living in a bedroom, smaller room, and the care is included. So it would be a set fee, possibly a smaller apartment. The care is included. So you pay one fee. So that would be assisted living. Those would be the state licensed facilities. Might be around 3,500 to 4,500 a month. We can, so you always want to look when you're looking for a place is what's it going to cost? How much is the care? How much are the meals? And you want to compare apples to apples. Next from there would be a rehab. Those are usually short term. Somebody falls, something happens, they've had a stroke, something goes on, and they go to rehab and they get help getting stronger. And then at some point, the rehab facility would discharge that person and they have to then decide, is it safe to go back home? Or would it need to be an assisted living or an enhanced independent living? So sometimes people have to end up in a nursing home for the rest of their life as well. So they need a lot more
And
care.
sometimes it's temporary. Like that's another thing a lot of people don't
Yes.
realize is just
Yes.
like you're saying, you may have a slip or a fall or just coming out of surgery, and you may go to a nursing home for a certain amount of time just for that healing. So, I as we age into all of these different little worlds, I think we've got to be really well informed and realize sometimes like the down moments, it's not permanent. So if you broke a hip, don't worry about it. You could be the next bionic person and get in there, get healed, and then get over to a place like Abbey Park. And one thing that because I have gone through not the senior living but assisted living nursing home. And one of the things with the assisted living is they would, in addition to costs, check on the meds, making sure that all the meds were delivered and taken, and that helped. In my particular case, my husband had a stroke and then an early onset of dementia. So I still had to work full time and doing things like making sure the medicine was taken care of, especially when there's times where I was gone for a long period of time because that forgetfulness. So I think us understanding how different facilities and different levels of care are going to be needed at different times and preparing for that. But when it comes to your particular place, you said that you guys have food available, so you got to
Yes.
give me the scoop. How's the food there, Kathy?
If I were to eat it every day, I might have to work out a little bit more. It's good. We always have a dessert. If somebody's complaining to me that they're gaining weight, it's because I said, well, you don't have to eat your dessert every day. But I would just I would just say most of the residents who have moved in, especially in the last couple of years, they just tell me that the food is fantastic. I encourage people to try it and see what they think, but it's a wonderful meal. It's a full meal. We the noon meal is actually included in the rent. And so for the first year, we include the noon meal, which is dinner. And it's a full meal. They are full from eating it, and they usually bring leftovers back because it's very
So it
very
is like
good.
a cruise. It's like the cruise
Yeah,
buffet,
yes.
right? Yeah, I
A
remember
little
those
bit
late
like
night
that,
cruises.
but it's a sit down meal and it's a hot meal at noon, so a little bit lighter at night. But most people don't take both the noon and the 5 o'clock meal. Most
Yeah,
people
one or the
don't.
other.
I do
It's a
want to
good
go back and
opportunity.
revisit. What's that?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Oh, I wanted to revisit what you were talking about with medication.
Yeah, please tell me. Tell me.
So, one of the services that our care team they're called the medical team, but one of the services that they offer is medication management. So if you simply lived here and you only wanted to receive the medication service, you
Yeah.
could, and you would only pay for that. So
That's
you kind of only
wonderful.
pay for the things that you need. If you need the shower plan, you would only pay for the shower plan. Or you can bundle and have packages where the different care plans are packaged to what people typically need. So it's not a one size fits all. It's kind of
Yeah.
individualized.
And I'll tell you, like that whole medical component of the delivery of the medication, it is so
Yes.
key. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, okay, yes, forgetfulness, but even in the case of like diabetics and you're having a sugar high or a sugar low, you can become very confused. So having somebody that's coming in consistently and checking, number one, how's your sugar today? Is it high? Is it low? What adjustments need to be made? It can help. So it's almost like that other person coming in and checking on you when maybe you're not feeling your best. So it also has to give a sense of heightened like safety. So you're not
Absolutely.
living by yourself. If you have a diabetic shock, it's nice to have someone coming in and
And
checking.
yes, and also just the fact that housekeeping comes in every morning, that's considered really a check because that housekeeper is showing up, make your bed and take out your trash, but really he or she, the housekeeper, is making sure it's usually most women work here, but we do not discriminate. But he or she would come in and make sure the resident's okay and make the bed and take out the trash. And then the second time there would be kind of a check would be when that resident shows up for the noon meal if they're on the noon meal. So it's kind of like it gives families a sense of security that someone's keeping an eye on their loved one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I got to tell you the story. We did an article in Kudos magazine. This was several years ago. And I wish I could remember this guy's name, but there was an MTA driver. For those of you that aren't in Genesee County, I think that's Mass Transportation something. So they do, the big buses, but they also do little buses to pick people up for doctor's appointments or running errands. So this gentleman had I think it was a lady that was on his route every single, we'll say Wednesday for over a year. And every day, every Wednesday, she'd show up. And lo and behold, this one Wednesday, she didn't show up and she didn't cancel. And he knew there is something wrong. So he took it upon himself and he went to her apartment, was knocking on the door, and the short of it is they had found out that she had collapsed in her apartment. She was in a diabetic coma, and they ended up having the paramedics come in, revive her, get her, stable again. But the truth is, who knows what would have happened if he wouldn't have
Right.
noticed. And that
Right.
was a very aware driver. But a lot of times it's not like that in real life. I mean, it was a blessing that lady had that at that exact moment. But in your
Exactly.
case, it's kind of cool because you have it built in. Even with things like, going to check your mail, that doesn't sound like a big deal until you get older. You have, one little misstep and you fall, or, something medical happens. It's nice to have people coming in and checking so that there's safety, there's comfort, and there's care there. And I really love that you guys have done this.
Me
But I think
too. It's
people, they've
great.
got to not be as afraid to talk about it because this shouldn't
Yeah.
be scary, you know.
And then another question a lot of people have is, what does insurance cover? And I think we all are misinformed. We aren't really aware of what our insurance will cover, and it will not cover the day-to-day personal care that many people need as they age. Insurance will cover things like physical therapy, uh, occupational therapy, speech therapy, hospice, Medicare, I'm talking about, but it doesn't cover the day to day needs, to have a shower, it's insurance is not going to pay for it. Now, if people are a veteran, that's something different. You may be able to be approved for a benefit called the aid and attendance benefit. And people who are veterans need to look that up and find out information about it. The aid and attendance will pay for the personal care, the activities of daily living. So if you're living in a place like Abbey Park, and you are using the care company to provide showers or help getting in and out of bed or escorts to the bathroom, you can get refunded or an amount of money from the government through the aid and attendance. So we all need to kind of be aware of our financial situation when we are making that decision.
Yeah. And programs that are available. My
Yes.
stepdad was a World War II Marine vet. He was 100% disabled by it. But he was a trooper. He lived till just a couple weeks short of 90. But one of the things that did help at the end, especially with my mom, because, God bless his soul, but he put all the pressure on her, all of it. And it was sad because she's passed now, she passed this spring, but she had congestive heart failure. And for some reason in his mind, he thought that she should be acting like a wife that was 60. She wasn't. And part of that I think was like the aging process of him maybe not understanding the dynamics had changed, right? So that pressure became so overwhelming for my mom of trying to do things like take care of his medicine, take care of his bathing needs, take care of trimming his toenails and putting his lotion on his legs and rubbing his feet. Those things became very challenging as she was aging herself.
That
And one
made
of
her
the,
age faster.
oh, it did. And then the sad part is he would sometimes complain like, well, she's not, well, she's 80, she's 80 some years old, she's, not doing so well. But these things are normal. So one of the things that they did do is they connected with veterans, and that took not all of the burden off of her, but a lot, because it was scary, Kathy, her trying to get, full grown man in and out of the shower. And if one slip happened, and he did have bad hips, but if one slip happened, it could be catastrophic. So
Right.
having that service come in and helping him do that, and even things like, helping him get dressed. When she was younger, it was easy for her to put on his socks and his pants and do these things
Pantyhose.
seamlessly
Yeah.
that nobody,
Yeah.
like the grandkids and the kids didn't know, but she did it regularly and willingly. And one of the things she finally had to come to terms with, whether he understood it or not, was that she didn't have the ability to do that. And I think if more people know different programs that are out there, like veterans, they can
Yes.
start to get some of the help that they need. And
Yeah,
I
there's
want to
money
say
out
to
there.
what's that
Use
again?
it. There's money out there that they need to be, it's very difficult to get it when
Absolutely.
you're in your own home, but if you're in a place like ours and you have a company, coming in and providing the assistance with the activities of daily living, you can get money from the government. It's not easy, but it is out there, especially if,
Right.
if you serve during wartime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that people do need to know that. I wish I had, I should have looked for a website before we came on here, but I'm sure if you just go to veterans and start searching, you can
Aid
find some
and
good stuff.
attendance. Aid and attendance
Okay, so
benefit.
veteran aid and attendance. So if you Google
Yes.
that, you guys should be able to find
Yes.
it.
Yep.
But for those of you that are adult children, though, of these parents, start talking to them. If you see your dad is struggling taking care of your mom, or your mom is struggling taking care of your dad, you've got to be observant, because they're not always going to say it, but they might come across where maybe they appear more exhausted than normal. Maybe they come across as angry. So look for some of the emotional signs coming out of people and start doing your research in advance so you can find out options. So, Kathy, if somebody wanted to come and do a tour of Abbey Park, like, could they call you up and say, hey, we just want to come check it out? Like, how does that work?
We have people call and set up appointments, but many people just show up. So if we're here and somebody just shows up and they say I want a tour, I would say 80% of our tours are drop in. People are just in the area and they decided to come in. And of course, we would never turn them away and say we don't have an appointment. We're not going to take you on a tour. We
Yeah,
love
you
to
don't
do
strike me like that. I don't think you're
it's
mean.
I
I don't
mean,
think you have a
I,
mean bone in your body.
if someone comes in for a tour, I will drop everything I am doing, and that will be my first priority. As long as the building's not burning down, I'm gonna stop everything. Not that I'm gonna put out the fire, but call someone. But thank God that doesn't happen.
Right, I'm gonna call
But I knock
somebody.
on
You're
wood.
so funny.
But I love taking people around the building because it gives me a chance to walk around with potential clients, of course, but I like to get out and see the other residents. They greet me by name. I greet them by name. They ask if they can speak to the people that I'm touring. They ask if we can show their apartment. They love to share what it's like to live here. And they will walk up to the people I'm with and say, I love it here. The food is good, or it's a wonderful place, or I've lived here a long time. I just love it. So, really having the residents speak for us is the very best thing we can do. I mean, they need to hear from their peers what it's like to live at Abbey Park. And I just step back and I stop talking and let the resident talk. And the people will look at me and say, "Did you plant them? There?" And it's really kind of cool.
You're like, no,
But
they're just authentically, being themselves. They like it here.
Yep, and it's like just this, there are these several, just, we call them neighborhoods, like little areas around the building that people they'll say, this is my neighborhood, and I'm good friends with, the gal on the other side of me and the gentleman that lives two doors down, and they really enjoy the sense of community. I just can't express that enough, that such a strong sense of community here.
Yeah, and I think community is key, especially as we're transitioning. So much easier when you have people along the journey with you.
And
So,
they're walking
Kathy,
around, they're exercising, they're being active, and they love it.
and that makes a difference on your overall mental health versus if you're just staying in your house and you're never leaving and you're never engaging. I mean, even if you don't want to
Yeah.
be around people all the time, it helps when you're around some people.
Most people are not hydrated, okay? Nobody's drinking their water. Most people are dehydrated. So it's like, hey, you know, don't forget you've got to drink that big jug of water in the morning, or I've noticed that about my some of my family members. It's like they've had one cup of coffee all day. And another thing is just they just need that sense of being social. That's why COVID was so hard, because everybody had a mask
Yeah.
on, and we had to cancel activities. Now that we've gotten past, somewhat past that, everybody's just really just living and enjoying and getting out and excited about all the things that we're doing and all the friends that they're meeting. I mean, it's a very positive place to be.
It's wonderful. So, if people wanted to get some more information about Abbey Park, what
As I lost you, I can't hear you.
I
So,
said, what's your website? How can they get a hold of you?
oh, it is abbeypark.com. ABBEYPARK.com. We do have virtual tours on our website. So if people wanted to go on and take a look at the different sizes of the apartments, we also have a Facebook page. So we are just Abbey Park Grand Blanc. And on the Facebook page, we have lots of pictures of all the activities that we're doing.
It's wonderful. Never a boring moment, huh? So, yeah, so if you guys have any questions, go check out abbeypark.com. Kathy will be there to greet you and walk you through the whole thing. But the big thing is, don't be afraid during these different stages. It might be a little bit of an adjustment, just like when you leave home to go to college. Life is constantly about changing, but some of these changes can be the next chapter of a really beautiful time in life. And I am super grateful that you took the time out of your day to come hang out with us for a little bit today, Kathy. Thank you so much. And for all of you, make sure that you're following us on Facebook at kudosmagazine.com. We are just starting to gear back into our YouTube setup for some more awesome interviews like this. So make sure that you like and subscribe. But Kathy, again, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. And keep doing
Thank
what
you
you're
very
doing.
much. It was my
Yeah.
pleasure.
My pleasure to have you here. All right, I hope to have you again soon. In the meantime, you guys take care of yourself. Remember, your health, your wellness should definitely be a key focus. So take the time to invest in it. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody. Bye.